Hi, it's Professor Monty. Let's talk about the domain and the range of a function. So the domain is the set of all inputs, oftentimes x values, of a function or relation, doesn't have to be a function, and the range is the set of all of the outputs, the y values often. So let's look at three examples, see what I'm talking about. So I've got a function here. It's starting from this ellipse over here, going from this side. The arrow says, okay, it's going from the left side to the right side. Well, this is where we start. That's my input. This is going to be the domain. So the domain are these three values, A, B, and C. The range are the outputs, in this case, 1, 2, and 3. Simple as that. If they give us points like they do here, the domain is just all the x values. So we've got an x value of 1, an x value of 2, an x value of 5. That's going to be my domain. And they're just individual values. We're not connecting dot to dot, anything like that. Don't graph these unless you just graph 3 dots and say, oh, these are the x values. And then the range, of course, the y values. Notice we have the same y value twice. That's okay in a function. You can't have two different points with the same x value to be a function. That would be a relation, but the range would still be the range. Since 4 happens twice, we still only list it one time. So the range in this case is just going to be the numbers 1 and 4. All right, so there was my first answer. So my second answer. Now third, we go to a graph, and a graph a little bit different to read. Since this time all the points are connected, we just don't have individual dots. We have to read the entire graph. The domain is still the x values. I like to think of the domain as, since it's the x values, it's all the way left, all the way right. So think of the domain as left to right. And in this case, this graph goes to the left forever. Well, forever to the left, we're going to call negative infinity. And goes forever to the right, we're going to call that positive infinity because it doesn't stop going to the right. Now the range, bottom to top. You always talk about the domain and range when you're talking using interval notation. You always go smallest to largest. So we go left to right for the domain. For the range, we go, I like to just say bottom to top. Now, how low does this graph go? Oh, it goes all the way down to a y value of 1. It includes the 1, so we use a bracket. So the range goes from 1, that's the lowest it goes, but it goes up forever. So it goes up towards positive infinity. Remember, never use a bracket at the infinities. That's always a parenthesis because it's not a value that it stops at and includes. So that's the idea. So here are 3 different types of sets to look at to determine the domain and the range. Essentially, domain inputs are x values, range output or y values.